Storytelling. You've heard me talk about it a million times here on my channel and over on my blog, but today I want to talk about storytelling in your year-end appeal. Let's face it, this December, lots of nonprofits are going to be competing for donor attention and also donor dollars. And it's worthwhile thinking about how is your organization going to stand out amongst all the noise that's out there in year-end fundraising season. Well, one of the things that I think is really valuable is to think about the story that you're going to tell and being able to really capture hearts and minds through the narrative and also the individual stories that you may use. So in today's video, I want to give you some of my top storytelling tips for year-end appeals that have helped me and my clients raise millions of dollars for amazing causes. Hey there, my name is Vanessa Lockshin, and I'm the president of the Storytelling Nonprofit. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before we dive in, you may have guessed that I'm a big fan of using storytelling in fundraising campaigns, and to help you tell great stories during your next campaign, I put together something called the Storytelling Success Checklist. If you'd like to grab your copy, you can use the link just below in the description box. All right, so in today's tutorial, I want to give you 4 very practical tips for telling better stories in your year-end appeal. I'm going to say a lot of these are focused on writing because a big portion of storytelling is our ability to write and tell that story. And I know it's something a lot of fundraising professionals struggle with. So let's go ahead and get into some of these tips. Tip number 1 is to start with your message and goal, not the story. So I often talk about the fact that storytelling is this strategic tool to be able to support fundraising and communications goals, not the other way around. And so we really want to avoid this trap that I see a lot of organizations falling into, which is simply telling a story for the sake of telling a story. And so one of the best ways you can avoid that and be strategic in your storytelling work is to start with your message and goal first, and then find a great story that works to support those things. I think this is a great strategy in general for fundraising, to think about your message and the goal for the piece and to really dig into that as a kind of strategy decision first, and then being able to make other decisions after that about the story, the design, and whatnot. My second tip for you is to really know your audience. And I harp on this all the time because it's such an important piece of storytelling work, but also for fundraising and communications. The more we know about our audience, the more we're able to talk about things and share messages and stories that are likely to resonate with them. I spend so much time with my clients helping them dig into who is it that we're really trying to communicate with, who is it we're trying to fundraise from. And so that includes, trying to detail information about their demographics and psychographics. It includes looking at their behavioral data as it relates to, emails or fundraising campaigns they've received before, and really trying to take a pulse of what is it this audience is likely to respond to? What have they responded to in the past? And how can I use that data and that information to inform what I'm going to do this time around? I think this is really valuable if we're trying to tell a story that just really nails it this year in our year-end appeals. And it's something that's so valuable to do for you as a fundraiser in general, because that information and that data will give you some super valuable insights to help you really take your fundraising program to the next level. My third tip for you is to use the right storytelling structure. Now, I've talked about the story structure before here on my YouTube channel, and I've got a much more in-depth tutorial on the storytelling structure I use that I'll link to here on the screen. But just to give you a little bit of a preview, one of the things that I've developed and used in my work, I've also talked about in my book, The Storytelling Nonprofit, is a story structure that actually really helps us build a case for support and move towards making a more successful ask. So the 5 parts of the structure are connection, character, conflict, resolution, and call to action. And it's really all geared around this idea of building a case for support as we tell that story and being able to strategically tell parts of the story at the right time and get the right information across to our audience. My final tip for you is to really write for conversion. And by conversion, I mean write for getting donations. So there are lots of approaches to fundraising writing, not all of them good, some of them worse than others. But I want to say that there are really strategic ways to write so that you can hopefully encourage more donations in your fundraising appeal. So being able to do things like building a case early on and just getting to the point quickly, especially in an email. Being able to really use vivid and gripping language that helps people understand what it is you're talking about by characterizing things. Writing in conversational manners, which is so important for building rapport and bringing people into that letter or that email and hopefully getting them hooked on it. Having a clear, compelling call to action that is deadline driven is another really important thing that we can do. If you're interested in more tips specifically on how I write stories, you can check out my tutorial, How I Tell Nonprofit Stories from Scratch, where I give a whole lot more tips on how I actually get into my writing process for stories. But I hope that these couple of tips on writing will help you as you put together your story this year. So those are my 4 tips for you as you start to work on your story for your year-end appeal. I hope they're helpful. Leave a comment below and let me know which one you're planning on using this year. As always, thank you so much for tuning into my video this week. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to give it a thumbs up here on YouTube and subscribe to my channel for more weekly fundraising and communications tips.